When I sit my baby right down by my side. Well, the rubber hits the road this rig, don't need no overload. Come on, let my baby ride.
Think you've got the picture? No, you haven't seen speed. Not until you've seen Talladega. This is Talladega. For the 95-degree Alabama heat comes shimmering up off the asphalt and makes the cars at the world's fastest speedway appear to be going even faster than they actually are. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Joy, welcoming you to the Busch Grand National Cars' first ever appearance on Talladega Superspeedway. They've said all week long that this track is easier to drive and certainly much faster than the similarly shaped and sized Daytona, where they run in February. But let's get the real word from a fellow who's won here and run here often, Neil Bonnet. What can we expect to see today? Everybody thinks this is going to be a tremendously competitive race.
Mike, I think we stand a chance of seeing one of the most competitive super speedway races we've ever seen. The Busch cars are really suited for this racetrack. The guys in the garage feel real good. The cars are easier to drive here than they are at Daytona, and they feel like they can race real strong and pass a lot on this track. We're going to have to see what happens.
And NASCAR has mandated a minimum 45-degree rear spoiler angle for this race. What'll that mean?
Well, I tell you, the spoiler, they felt like if they slowed these cars down, it would be safer for them here. They slowed them down with that spoiler, not so much with a restrictor plate. That gave them a lot of stability, and when you give a driver a car that's pretty stable, he feels like he can do a lot of racing. I think we'll see a lot of high-speed drafting and some passing today.
And a lot of pack racing. Let's go to the front row. Two fellows who are familiar to Talladega and front row starting spots, and with them, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, most of the time on the front row this year, we've been visiting with Jeff Gordon, but that's not the case today. Two Winston Cup regulars are here. Ernie Irvin is on the outside of the front row, and sitting beside of me, the man in black, Dale Earnhardt. Not the kind of year you would have liked to have had so far. You've got one win in the Busch Series, but things been a little rough lately. Can you end that bad luck today?
Well, I hope so. Qualifying on the pole feels good, but this car we won Daytona with, so had a good day down there. Maybe we have one here.
Well, you're going to try to hook up with Ernie and pull off and leave everybody else?
Well, you know, drafting's going to be the key, so I think we need to work together, a couple of us, and just stay in line. I think we'll be all right.
Well, good luck to you today, Dale. Now, as most of you race fans know, last week, Davey Allison was injured at the race at Pocono. For this race, he was scheduled to run in. He has a replacement driver, and for more on that situation, let's go down pit road to Mark Garrow.
Well, we've been hearing this rumor all week that somehow Davey Allison would get back in a race car this week here in Talladega, Alabama. And indeed, it is true. At 8 a.m. this morning, Allison climbed into his Texaco Haviland Ford and began making laps around this 2.66-mile track. Not one lap, but 12 laps. And the question is now, will Davey get out after one lap Sunday, or will he ride on to the first yellow caution flag? That's the big question. He has some special Velcro on the shifting lever and the steering wheel so that his right arm can help grip those two objects as he takes his laps around this racetrack under green on Sunday. Of course, Bobby Hillin has the chore on Sunday as his relief driver. The man on today that has that job is a man Darrell Waltrip says is older than dirt. He claims to be 59 years old. He's won 717 races. Red Farmer, this is probably one of your biggest assignments ever.
Well, it is. You know, really, that last ARCA race I ran here, I thought would be my last race here at Talladega. The unfortunate thing happened to Davey up there. We had a brand-new car. The crew had worked so hard to get it ready. Texaco wanted to see the car run. Wagner wanted to see his motor run. We wanted to see our car run. So we decided Davey wanted to see the car run. It'd be good therapy for him. He said if he could see this thing win again. So they decided to put me in it to come out here and see what we could do with this car.
Red Farmer is the hometown favorite. Today he is also the emotional favorite. Let's go back up pit road to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mark, a little while ago, Mike and Neil mentioned the fact that NASCAR had instituted a spoiler rule for this race. We're standing in front of the 27 car driven by Ward Burton. You can see the rear spoiler here. It is at a 45-degree angle. In years past, they would run the spoiler laid back about here, about 20, 25 degrees. So you see it standing up there pretty tall. What that serves to do is to stabilize the car in traffic. The biggest thing, however, that NASCAR has done is to institute a restrictor plate in this division. That is a 1-inch hole, all four of them 1-inch holes that you're looking at there. That fits right down over the top of the intake. Then the carburetor base plate goes on top of it. You see those holes. Carburetor fits down on top of that. The gas is dumped into the bigger hole. Restricted flow down into the smaller holes. What that does is serve to reduce the horsepower on the engine by 100 horsepower. Chuck Bounds said it best. He said when you put a restrictor plate on the cars, it stacks the traffic up, makes the cars run much closer together, so you need that extra spoiler. It's tightened them up. The cars are all running really competitive and really close together. This should be a whale of a race. Mike?
And Glenn, in combination, the spoiler and the restrictor plate have done their job. The spread from the fastest to the slowest car in this field is only 7 miles per hour. That's quick and well bunched together. We'll be right back to Talladega. They are ready to roll here at the world's fastest speedway, the Busch Grand National cars, for the very first time. Let's go down to trackside where Glenn Jarrett's standing by.
And now for those long-awaited words, here's today's Grand Marshal, the Vice President Sales of Allied Signals Group, Mr. Kerry Langford.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
As the field comes to life, you look down the inside row from Dale Earnhardt and back, and somewhere back in there is the man who has become the new Busch Grand National point leader, Mark Garrow.
Joe Nemechek began racing on this series in 1989. He's done just about everything he can. He's been the most consistent driver the past 2 seasons. Again, everything you can do, Joe, but so far no victory.
Well, the Texas people, Azito's Pharmacy Chevrolet, is just running so good, and I hope that first win comes today. We got a super car. It drafts really good. The car's handling great. And if we get hooked up with a good first, we're going to go to the front, and I hope I'm there at the end to be in contention to win the race.
Joe Nemechek has finished the runner-up 4 times. He's gone 78 starts without a victory. He hopes number 79 is the charm this afternoon. Mike?
Kenny Wallace has been atop the point parade for many weeks, but we come to Talladega with Joe Nemechek in the front spot. Let's see how he got that way with our Haviland update. 2 weeks ago, the Busch Grand National Series headed north for the 18th race of the season, the Budweiser 300 at New Hampshire International Speedway. Kenny Wallace started on the pole ahead of Bobby Labonte, and here's Jeff Gordon sporting a bit of a different number. Jimmy Spencer off Hut Strickland takes this long slide and hard shot into the wall. Gordon also suffered damage to his Ford, which he'd lose ground he couldn't later make up. Wallace, Chuck Bound in 63 getting sideways, and Joe Bessie had a bit of a battle. There goes Wallace's bumper cover down in turn number 1. Odd assorted parts streaming off his Pontiac. He decides to give Bessie a wake-up call and return. Back up front, Morgan Shepherd in 21, and Hut Strickland would lead. Strickland for 68 laps. Shepherd would lead for 32 before he pitted with oil pan problems, and even some inside help for Hut Strickland from his crew could not solve ignition troubles. Davey Allison would complete only 154 laps before drive shaft trouble put him behind the wall. Todd Bodine took the lead on lap 242 and would stay there for some time, looking like the winner until this long slide in turn 1 put him into the wall, and resulting fuel pump problems would open the door for Jeff Burton, who started 23rd to take the lead with 4 laps to go and win the Budweiser 300. Joe Nemechek, the point leader, Robert Presley, Kenny Wallace, and Bobby Labonte all separated by just 34 points. Then Todd Bodine holding up 5th spot. So Nemechek leads the point parade coming here to Talladega, and as you look at this field, there are 9 Winston Cup regulars sprinkled throughout this field. Earnhardt and Irvin up front and all the way back through. We'll give you a look at how they qualified here. Let's look at the starting grid as they complete this first pace lap. Dale Earnhardt is on the pole. He's this series' winningest career speedway driver. Ernie Irvin, the Watkins Glen winner, outside. Row 2, Ward Burton, the Rockingham winner, and Hut Strickland from here in Alabama. Robert Presley, the Tour's only 3-time winner this year, and Ricky Craven, the leading rookie. Mike Waltrip, 2 years since he's been to Victory Lane, and Harry Gant, who's won at Richmond and Bristol this year. Todd Bodine, this year's winner at Nazareth Speedway, and Jimmy Spencer, victorious at Myrtle Beach. Mark Martin was the runner-up back at Rockingham, and Butch Miller, 9th in the point standings. Jim Bound returns to the circuit. He's been off since Charlotte in May, and Tracy Leslie, the former ARCA champion. Red Farmer, 717 career wins, and Jeff Burton, who won just 2 weeks ago in New Hampshire. Joe Nemechek, the Busch Series point leader. Ken Schrader making his 6th start in this series this year. Tom Peck with 4 top 10 finishes in the last 5 races, and Ed Barrier making his 5th start of the year. Tommy Houston, this circuit's all-time money winner, and Darrell Waltrip. Chuck Bound, the 1990 champion, and Jack Sprague, he's in the Jack Ingram car. Bill Elliott's looking for his first Busch Grand National win today, and Steve Grissom, who won at Volusia County. Jeff Purvis, the former national dirt champ, and Jeff Gordon, 2 wins, 7 poles, but he's way back today. So's Kenny Wallace, who's just 21 points out of first place, and Clifford Allison. Richard Lassiter from Arkansas, and Bobby Dotter, who won up in Virginia in May. Short track specialist David Rogers from Orlando, and Bobby Labonte, the defending series champ, is way back there with Stanley Smith and Robert Huffman, the 36 starter. Steve Grissom during first round qualifying was the second fastest driver, but that run was disallowed. Glenn?
Well, that's right, Mike. In the post-qualifying inspection, NASCAR officials found that Grissom's car was 1/8 of an inch too short or too low on the left front. Now, that's mighty small difference there. He had to requalify, fastest qualifier on the second round, but he starts back in 26. Remember the restrictor plate I showed you, how small that 1-inch hole was? Turn that thing sideways. You see how small that is? That's how big 1/8 of an inch is.
Oh, Glenn, 1/8 of an inch isn't that small. That's where Grissom would have started, where Ernie Irvin's car is. Look how big an 1/8 of an inch turns out to be. About a quarter of a mile. there's Grissom's car, about a quarter of a mile back from where he would have started.
When I tell you the way traffic's going to be today, all we've heard these drivers talk about all week long is getting a drafting partner, and boy, it would have been nice to be up front. He's got his work. He's going to do a lot, Mike, early in this race.
You bet. Here's Mark Martins, Winn-Dixie Ford, carrying our in-car camera today. There's the face cam from the right side of the dashboard. We'll also have the Fram cam, the Fram Filters cam, in Jeff Gordon's car, the Baby Ruth Ford this afternoon. There's the trial. Well, that's where the start-finish line would be at Daytona, but here at Talladega, it's way down past the end of pit road, almost 2,000 feet further. And Donovan Parker, Fram retailer from out of Birmingham, Alabama, waves the green flag, and they're off into turn number 1. A 36-car lead draft on the break, and you see it's not breaking up any or going single file. That's Irvin up high. Ward Burton is locked right onto Earnhardt's bumper, trying to make something happen here with Robert Presley and Mike Waltrip.
We heard a lot of the Busch guys say they were going to work together and leave the Winston Cup guys alone, but early in this race, they're not going to have an option. They're going to have to work with whichever car in front of them is running fast. And we've got 2 Winston Cup guys on the front row right now.
And they're still double wide. Neither Earnhardt nor Irvin wants to drop in line, and that's how they shake out for some 24 cars behind them as they come out of turn number 4 before the first break in the traffic. We promised you close racing with these tall spoilers and small restrictor plates. How about this?
I tell you, they said it might be a 40-car IROC race, and it's got the makings of that with these guys still 2 abreast all the way around the racetrack.
First lap double file, count Irvin as the leader, who won on the road course at Watkins Glen, and now he becomes the point. Looks like the geese headed south beat out from behind Ernie Irvin. Hut Strickland is right with him.
On a big racetrack like this, when you're running the bottom lane, it kind of binds the car up a little bit. And with these 6-cylinders, this is really the first ultimate test to see what they do on these big racetracks.
That outside lane is Irvin, Strickland, and Ricky Craven. Harry Gant and Jimmy Spencer, the first 5 cars in line on the outside. There's Earnhardt's black car down on the bottom, and he slides up into line in 3rd spot. Turn 4, coming around to complete lap 2.
I think a lot of the drivers feel like they can even run 2 abreast and still maintain that lead pack. But here we're at 3 abreast coming through the trial. That's Mike Waltrip right down the inside, and really got his car hooked up in the bottom. And now there's 3 lanes, 3 abreast.
They're 3 lanes wide behind Mike Waltrip, who shifts out of that in the low groove. Now here comes Earnhardt coming up for the lead. What a snarling pack behind him. There's still 3 wide back there, but it's Irvin, then Earnhardt. Now Ricky Craven drops up in the high groove. He'll go with Hut Strickland. Harry Gant behind Craven's 99 car. And it's going to be Burton, Mike Waltrip down on the bottom to go with Earnhardt.
It's not going to take long in this race to find out who your friends are. They're trying to get to working together with each other. And in a real big hurry, you'll learn who your enemies are also. Believe you hung out.
3 laps complete this time by. From 1st to 30th place is only 3 seconds. And they fan out that wide trioval, 4 lanes across, 3 cars wide, and it's Earnhardt who will lead it. This time, Irvin got shuffled back to 3rd.
Boy, Boy, that 3 wide stuff is what really concerns not only these drivers but the manufacturers. When you get 3 wide, the car in the middle doesn't have very much downforce, and they're making it right now. I see 3 lanes back deeper in the pack.
29 cars in the lead pack, then a pack of 4, and then a couple of singletons. There is Jeff Gordon's Baby Ruth Ford carrying our Fram cam today, and you see just how tightly packed they are. He is right up and under the rear bumper of that car.
Yeah, the closer you get, the bigger push. Look at the car in front of him really moving around. The cars are sprung so stiffly on this old big racetrack. It takes a lot of spring, and they're real stiff, and they just hop all over the track.
Following Jack Sprague there, and there's a look out the back of Gordon's car. There's Bobby Labonte. Said his car just hasn't run worth a lick all week. He's just going to have to draft clouds and anything he can to try to get toward the front and have a good finish today. Right now, he's drafting off Jeff Gordon. This is about 3/4 of the way through that lead pack, and still look how tightly bunched the cars are. Red Farmer on the left of your screen. As we go back up front, it's Earnhardt, Huck Strickland, and Ernie Irvan. Kenny Schrader has come from 18th to 10th position in just 4 laps. 4 laps down at Talladega. We'll be right back.
That's the blue.
Down the front straightaway to complete lap 7. Robert Presley was right up in 2nd place. Looked like the engine may have let go as he drops down to the track apron. The field has split. Here's the first pack, 14 cars strong in that lead draft. Then there's a gap of about 1 second, and another pack of, surprisingly, 14 cars. Then a group of about 4 or 5, and then the back markers.
Mike, don't let the fans be misled that we see them in single file. The only thing that broke that up was Presley lost an engine coming into the tri-oval. They had ran completely every lap side by side, and I think they'll work back in that position again. But when Presley lost an engine, they had to get back to single file, get out from behind him.
No caution will stay green. Ernie Irvan's led this race, so is Earnhardt and Huck Strickland. There's a look at that second pack of 14 cars. Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon at the lead of that group. 15th spot on back. Now you ride with Jeff Gordon. On the dashboard, that's happy birthday Allison and Lance. Allison's dad, the Dennis, is the tire changer, Dennis Adcock. Allison's 8 years old. Lance Chandler turned 13. His dad, Billy's the tire specialist on that team. Brett Farmer, and a little bit further back, there's Bill Elliott and Jeff Gordon. Those 2 Fords hooking up. Jeff Purvis with them. Clarksville, Tennessee. Trying to run down the front pack. For a minute ago, I thought they were going to do it here.
When they were running 2 abreast, there's a pass for the lead. There's Bud Strickland going under Earnhardt going in 3rd turn, taking the lead, but they were actually gaining them along. There were 2 abreast. I'm not so sure now with this passing, Mike. In just one little incident like that, when they got side by side, the second group is really closing in now.
The yellow cars on the bottom, Gant and Irvin's been dropped back there. Mike Waltrip is in there, tucked up and under Harry Gant. Behind him, Tracy Leslie, Ricky Craven, and Joe Nemechek. Jimmy Spencer's up there to the 3rd spot. What we saw a little bit ago while we were in commercial, 3 of the Winston Cup guys pair off single file, try to get away from 3 of the Busch Grand National guys down on the bottom single file. Where do you put Spencer? Is he a Busch guy? Is he a Cup guy? Is he out there by himself?
I don't know if you can put Spencer anywhere. I think he just gets where he wants to be.
I think so. That 15 car is Kenny Schrader, making only his 6th start of the season in the Busch Tour. Running right up in 4th spot. Lead pack out of turn 4.
It's going to take someone to get out there 2 abreast and try some more of this stuff. It was working, and they were putting on quite a show, and then all of a sudden Presley lost that motor, but they'll work themselves back in. Here they are 2 abreast right now for the lead.
You're riding with Mark Martin as that field goes double file. He started 11th. He's running 5th, going for 4th. That's Spencer in the 20 car next door. Earnhardt just ahead. Riding in 5th place. He's about to have some company. He's got Ernie Irvan filling up his mirror. Look at how tight that pack is bunched.
Well, look how big this old racetrack is. I'm telling you, you can run 2 and 3 abreast around the place. And boy, it's really nice for these cars.
Bobby Labonte told me, he said in testing it took so long to go around here, he started timing himself. He put a stopwatch around his neck. He'd click it off when he come by the finish line, timing laps. Earnhardt on the bottom. He's got Strickland a little bit of edge to break away as they head for the tri-oval. 10 laps down. Still 13 cars up in that front pack.
There's a front end of Jeff Purvis's car, the Phoenix construction car. It's like a little duct tape blowing off of it.
They're in a little 3-car draft. You're watching from the back of Jeff Gordon's Ford, drafting off, I think that's Bill Elliott. As they try to run down the leaders, they've put themselves into a 3-car draft, and they've gotten away from Red Farmer and that third pack of cars.
These 3 cars here, with Gordon and Purvis and these guys, they're gaining on that lead pack. They might be able to pull themselves back in it.
Up front now, 15 cars are in the lead pack. They're double file at the back end of it. Mike Waltrip trying to gain a spot. Yellow car right side of your screen.
Ernie Irvin kind of got shuffled a little while back and fell back about 8th or 10th place, and now he's worked himself back into 4th. I tell you, when you're almost afraid to step out of line, but when you do like that, and you get out and you work your way back up there, it makes you a little bit more cautious about trying to get. Here's Earnhardt going right on the top of the racetrack. If you can get above a guy, you've actually shuffled that inside guy out of position, and you can get him back down. So he got around the outside of that car, and it's going to make him drop back 2 or 3 more positions.
Well, the man who entered this race second place in the Busch point standings and second in Money One is going to have a tough day as Kenny Schrader goes up for the lead. Doesn't get it from Hut Strickland this time, but drops in just in front of Mark Martin. Let's go down toward the garage. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, standing by is Robert Presley. Robert's short run there was awfully strong for a while. What happened?
Thing just tightened up coming through the trouble here. You know, we're just riding around out there having a little bit of fun. I dropped down there one time going in turn 1. Nobody wanted to go with me, and we passed a bunch of them, and next lap I turned around and looked, and everybody was behind us, you know, wanting us to go on. So we just going to try to find this place there around Harry or Earnhardt, you know, somebody we knew was going to be there all day, and just ride around those for a good finish. Day's going to be short.
Well, it certainly was, and this is going to hurt him in the Busch Grand National point standings, too. He was up to second, but this is going to kick him back probably out of the top 5.
Up front, new leader Kenny Schrader. Let's see if Earnhardt's going to let him keep it for this lap or try to make the dive and go on by. Schrader came from 18th starting spot to the lead in just 13 laps.
Yeah, you heard him say they were having fun. You heard Presley talk about it. They're just having fun. There's a lot of guys having fun. I tell you, these guys are a good group of racers right here, and Schrader really turned it on to come from as far back as he did to be leading this race.
It's Winston Cuppers, Schrader, Earnhardt, and Martin at the head of the pack. Then Ward Burton is the first Busch Series regular. He's in 4th place. Hut Strickland is 5th. That's turn 2. 33-degree banking. That's about as steep as the roof on your house, most likely. Hard to climb up it, much less drive around it at less than 70 miles an hour. The car wants to drop right off to the bottom. We have 14 laps complete. Schrader up front, Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Ward Burton, Hut Strickland, Jimmy Spencer, and Ernie Irvin.
Leading retailers.
We're back at Talladega, 17 laps complete. As a blink of an eye ago, Ken Schrader was the race leader. He's surrendered it to Earnhardt now. There's a look back through the top 10. You see several of the Busch regulars in and amongst the Winston Cup drivers, but Earnhardt and Schrader are having a little fun out front.
Yeah, they swapped the lead coming through the tri-oval, but now they get a little antsy back here in the back. There's a couple of Busch guys down the inside. They said we're off and on there. We're going to try to work that inside lane, but he moved over. Looked like Ward Burton moved over, and it left Leslie out there, so he's going to drop back.
Burton was down on the inside for a full lap, and Tracy Leslie was the only driver he could get to go with him, so he found the hole and stuck up in it. Back into the tri-oval. This will be 18 laps this time by. This race 500 kilometers as opposed to 500 miles. And they're way up high coming through the tri-oval here.
Mike, they're running such a high line through the tri-oval, something you normally don't see, but that's a defensive move. We saw earlier, if you let a car get on the outside of you, can't get down, so they're running far enough out you can't pass them on the outside. Mark Martin's car right there, right in the lead pack, running 3rd position.
Earnhardt, Schrader, Martin the front 3, Hut Strickland in the 4th spot. Jimmy Spencer's 5th, Ernie Irvin. He is the 6th place car. Mike Waltrip's moved his way up in that pack as well. Now, if you tip your TV set up to where the sky looks kind of straight across, those clouds are, gives you an idea. There's 33-degree banking here. It is steep.
Mike, when you're in the race car, you run down in that corner, you almost say this thing is flat. You're going so fast, and you lean on that banking so much it almost looks flat from inside the race car.
Way up high in the tri-oval, just about 1 lane from the wall. Back in 8th is Ward Burton. 9th is Todd Bodine in that pack. Jeff Burton's up there as well. Now up in the 10th spot, and now a little shuffling. Ernie Irvin goes downstairs.
There's Irvin. There's Mike Waltrip with him in the Pennzoil car, and they're going to overhaul Spencer and maybe Hut Strickland.
Now watch as they go in this corner. They'll make a big gain as they go in the corner. They should really pull up on and maybe pass a couple of cars in. The key right here, as they go in, you can usually gain ground getting in the corner, but the problem is when you hit the next straightaway, if you don't have a lot of help behind you, you're going to start dropping back. They're close enough, they should be able to work a little bit.
And they did it on their own, Irvin and Waltrip. None of the Busch drivers would drop down and go with them, trying to hang them down on the bottom. But here is Earnhardt and Schrader. This time they went to the bottom.
Look, they saw the guys coming, and we've heard them say the Winston Cup guys were going to work together. They actually moved the front row over to the inside to pick up the other two cars down there. And it's just a matter if they leave them there or not.
Well, note, too, it was two Chevrolets dropping down to pick up a Chevy and a Pontiac and leave that 4 to Mark Martin upstairs.
Yeah, they know who pays the bills around this business.
A little bit of pack racing and some interesting strategy playing out here in the early laps of the Fram Filters 500. Irvin pushing the air in that inside lane. Mike Waltrip with him.
Mike, let's watch as they come on the front straightaway, and they see Irvin down inside. Let's see if the two cars in first and second drop down to try to pick him up on this next straightaway and give him a little bit of help. But he's dropped back. I don't know if they'll drop over and try to help him or not.
That'll be Earnhardt and Schrader, the first two Chevrolet. And those two cars are backing up.
Looks to me like they said, Ernie, you're going to have to do it on your own. We're not going to drop over and help, because if they move over, the whole line might go by them also.
Interesting, Neil, on the super speedways, the short way around on the bottom is not necessarily the fast way around as we ride along with Jeff Gordon.
The fastest way around one of these racetracks is the freest that car will possibly run. Just kind of give it its own head, let the thing run where it wants to go. Don't crank the wheel and bind it up. It slows it down.
Let me give you an idea how effective this draft is. Average speed thus far, 186.8 miles an hour, 2 miles an hour faster than the pole qualifying speed.
Mike, that's very interesting. They wanted, you know, not only is the Busch Series a test bed for drivers, it's also a test bed for NASCAR. Here we are like the old days. You come qualify at a certain speed, you race even higher than that. With these spoilers up and this thing's the way they got fixed up, they're really drafted good, and the speed is going to be faster in the draft than by themselves.
Bumper cam shot from Jeff Gordon, Tracy Leslie there. Gordon started 28th. He's raced his way up to 12th. Bill Elliott started 25th. He's come to 11th. And Steve Grissom started out back in 26th. He's raced his way up to 14th position.
Every time we get a little glimpse of that yellow car, Ernie Irvin, he's down that bottom. He won't give up. He's trying the inside.
Well, the draft is so tight in the outside lane that he and Mike Waltrip are pretty well stuck down there, trailing Earnhardt and Schrader. 22 laps complete. There's a good, strong crowd on hand here. There's a look at how the front five run. We'll be right back to Talladega. The record for number of cars on the lead lap in a Busch Grand National race, I think it's 18 cars. We've got that many right in the lead draft, never mind on the lead lap here at Talladega. We've been caution-free for these first 24 laps. In fact, the fastest all-time average speed for a Busch race, 157 miles an hour, when Jeff Bodine won the Goodies 300 at Daytona in 1985. That is very much in jeopardy today.
Mike, there's something starting to happen here. We saw just two cars in the bottom lane. They were able to hold their own. Now they're starting to get a little bit of help. There's another car dropped over. Here comes Rick Craven and Jeff Purvis on the inside. They're going to get it back two abreast and see if they can race with it.
Irvin drops even lower in the tri-oval. Waltrip, and now he's got Tracy Leslie in tow. So it's 3 cars on the bottom trying to do what 2 could not.
That's right, and 2 more coming to help them. In just a minute, they'll have 5 of them on the inside, and they're going to try to see if they can put it. It's kind of like a boat. The more motors you put on it, the faster it goes. And they're fixing to add a few engines to Irvin right here, so if they can shove him ahead.
Ernie Irvin working his way up down that 4,000-foot backstretch. He's alongside Hut Strickland. Now coming up on Mark Martin and gets a good shove in 3rd place. See if he pops up in a line or if he stays right on the bottom. They're overhauling Mark Martin because the leaders went to the bottom.
They saw that inside lane coming. They jumped over there. Ooh, here we go. That's that wasn't quite by there.
No, it wasn't. That was a tense moment for Tracy Leslie and Mark Martin there.
I tell you what, he took a pretty good shot on the rear and he kept it straight. He moved over just a little bit before he cleared Mark Martin. And now he realizes Mark's there and he's back on the inside lane.
Well, when that car swerved, as you saw it there, he must have lost a lot of momentum there that Martin was able to move on past. The field has just overlapped Butch Miller in the Food Country Chevrolet. Butch has dropped a cylinder, running around at a reduced speed. He's probably only running about 170, and the field has just streamed right on by him.
Well, what they're going to have to be careful of right now, the first 4 of these cars are the Winston Cup guys that that got hooked up, and they've been trying to work themselves together now with Mark Martin right behind them in 5th place in the board. So they've got these guys out front. Now they're probably going to stay in line a little bit to see what happens, make sure they don't break away.
Now, it's not that there's any animosity between the two groups of drivers. The Winston Cuppers at the front of the field race with these same drivers every week, and I would imagine they're just a little more comfortable running with the people they know.
Yeah, they do. They work together a lot, but I tell you what, it's kind of like AFL, NFL. When you used to have different leagues and different type of stuff, I'm telling you, these guys, they say, hey, we're Winston Cup. We're supposed to be beating these Busch guys. And they've been taking a pretty good beat lately. These Busch guys have been working on them, and hopefully they got them on their turf, and they want to try to stomp on them a little bit while they can.
Dale Earnhardt looking for his 15th Busch Grand National Career Superspeedway win. From the front of this pack, 27 laps complete. Ken Schrader lined up in 2nd. Ernie Irvan, Mike Waltrip, Mark Martin. That's the front 5. Bud Strickland right in there. Out of turn 4 comes the lead pack once again.
I'll tell you, all the guys are doing a good job. Even though they got a lot of spoiler on these cars, you still got a lot of race car to drive at these kind of speeds. And we saw that little bit of contact while they did a good job of getting it straightened out.
10 cars now in the lead pack, 2 more. Elliott and Gordon just a couple of lengths back, and then a group of 6 cars. Oh, not all that far back, and if they get single file, they could catch right back up.
Yeah, they got the racing a little bit back there and dropped some of them off.
There's Jeff Gordon riding along. Now they have hooked on to that lead pack. Started way out back today, he and Bill Elliott both. Didn't get good qualifying run. And the restrictor plate engine development of the Ford V6s apparently not quite where it is with the Chevrolet.
Yeah, just on the restrictor plate, because when we go to the short tracks, you know, Mike, we continuously see Jeff Ford sitting on the pole with all the short track stuff. So just strictly the restrictor plate stuff they've got to work on.
Lead pack once again. Earnhardt, Schrader, Irvan, Mike Waltrip. As you look there from the back of that lead pack, that white car is Jeff Gordon. As you look forward to Bill Elliott, Tracy Leslie, and the rest of that group.
We go to racetracks and we talk about discipline all the time, but it's usually discipline not to mash the gas too hard, not to spin the wheels. Right here, the discipline is to hold it wide open and not get out of the line. That's hard to do. They want to race, but right now the key is to stay in line and not lose that draft.
For a driver, this must be like any kind of driving in traffic. You know, you get in line and you haven't passed anybody and you're right where you've been, and you got to get impatient.
Yeah, you know, you're disciplined all your life, and you teach yourself all your life to be aggressive and try to pass people. Here, passing people is a penalty. If you pull out, sometimes it costs you a lot.
So single file comes this lead pack once again past a fairly full tower grandstand here at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be right back.
Well, I drive
12 cars in that lead pack, headed up by Dale Earnhardt. Ken Schrader running in 2nd, Ernie Irvan, Mike Waltrip, and Mark Martin, the front 5. Then it's Hut Strickland, Tracy Leslie, Ward Burton, Jeff Burton, Todd Bodine in 10th, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Gordon. That's the lead draft as they come by here. A little further back to Jimmy Spencer, has dropped way back in the field. He was contending for one of the front 3 spots. Mark? Let's go to Mark Garrow.
Jimmy Spencer's looking for his 2nd win here on TNN. His crew chief Mark Reno is here with his fingers crossed and hoping it is a minor problem and not a major engine ailment.
Yeah, we're hoping it's minor. We've evidently burned a plug wire, and we're hoping to get a caution so we can fix it before we get lapped. I'm not sure. Could be more serious, but that's what we're hoping for the best.
Jimmy Spencer's dropped back to 29th position there. Still on the lead lap, but well back. 12 cars in the lead draft, and then a pack of 4. Harry Gant, Jeff Purvis, Steve Grissom, and Joe Nemechek, the point leader. Bit of shuffling toward the back of that pack. Tracy Leslie down on the bottom there, drops a spot to Elliott. May lose one to Jeff Gordon as they round turn number 2. Up front, Earnhardt and Schrader have a lockjaw grip on the lead. Irvan and Mike Waltrip, all that running on the bottom of the racetrack, tuck them right in, and there's the 2 Fords in the back of that pack. Elliott and Jeff Gordon.
We're just looking back all the way to Tracy Leslie. There's 4 cars behind them. They're gaining a little bit. And we'll even add to this pack of cars we have in the front. There's Gordon's car. Look how close in line you try to stay. you might, here's the car trying to move the outside. When he moves high like that, that's Todd Bodine directly in front of Bill Elliott. Bill's trying to get that outside line and take it away from him. If he can just get a little bit on the outside of him, then that leaves Todd Bodine hung out to dry on the inside, but Todd's protecting that lead. Bill as high as he can go. You run up on the wall, there's nowhere else to go.
Looks like a big snake down there. Now Mike Waltrip's on the bottom. He's going for third. Mark Martin has dropped down to go with him, and they're all shuffled double file. There's Harry Gant, who brought that second pack of cars right up to the lead draft. He and Jeff Purvis are moving way up in the pack.
Yeah, they've been together. Now they're 3 abreast going into the third turn. Purvis and 2 other cars. Gant and Purvis have worked their way right up to that lead pack, and now they're getting separated again.
And look here. 3 wide in that same pack. Purvis on the bottom. He's underneath Jeff Burton and finally tucks in. They're double wide all the way up to the front 2, which remain Earnhardt and Schrader single file.
And just the minute we see these guys get double file in the back, look up front. The lead guy says, hey, if we got some people going to help us, jump in and try it again. It takes help, and as soon as you see 1 or 2 move the inside, the rest of them will try and help them a little bit.
Well, we may see a bit of strategy played out here during pit stops under the green flag, which are imminent. We're also looking at another possible record here for least caution flags. 3 times this series has gone without cautions, but we haven't had a caution all weekend, knock wood, in this Busch Grand National Series.
We haven't had any incidents of, you know, cars getting out by other guys. What concerned me was, can these V6 motors take this punishment? They've been to a lot of racetracks, but they've never had, from the time this race started, I'm just telling you, from when they dropped the green flag, the bulk of these cars have had the gas pedal on the floor. You cannot lift at any part of this racetrack, so these motors are getting a pretty good test. They've been on the floor since this race started. It's just a matter, can they stand it or not?
So far, so good. Let me ask you something. Look at that yellow car on the left, this third one in line. Where did Harry Gant come from? 3 laps ago, he was 13th and about 4 car lengths back of the lead pack. Now he's up here shuffling it up for 5th spot. Car 7.
Looks like a heat race on a Friday or Saturday night somewhere on a short track. They're stacking them all the way across the racetrack. There's Gant. He's thinking about 3 wide. Matter of fact, he is 3 wide down under Waltrip. Goes right in behind Ernie, and that leaves Waltrip right in the middle of the pack there.
He's going to get squeezed right out of the middle of that sandwich, just like a hot dog. In the midst of the bun, he's going to get squeezed right back because Ernie Irvin's going to pop up to the lead. Earnhardt's going to come around the outside. They're going to be 2 wide coming down to lap 38. Irvin, he's got a good push. And look, here is Harry Gant coming all the way up into 2nd place.
Poor Tracy Leslie, he worked with them to get there, and the minute they get to the front, they jump over, and that leaves these other guys on the inside just hung out again. As soon as they got to the front, they didn't mind jumping over in that right-hand lane.
No. So up high, Irvin, Gant, Earnhardt, Schrader, Hutt Strickland, and Ward Burton. Then Tracy Leslie. Mike Waltrip jumps up into the high lane there in the Pennzoil car. Then the Winn-Dixie Ford, that's Mark Martin, Todd Bodine, Jeff Purvis, Bill Elliott, and Mark Martin you're riding with now from the roof cam.
Yes, Tracy, you were in 2nd place before up front, but just the minute they leave you out there, it's a bad ride to the rear.
39 laps this time by of 117 at the world's fastest speedway, and you're getting a good demonstration of why it is. We'll be right back to Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet, Glenn Jarrett, and Mark Garrow down on pit road. New leader Ernie Irvin. Now with Hutt Strickland. Ward Burton up into 3rd spot and Dale Earnhardt in 4th. Old adage in stock car racing about these engines, they just always run their best right before they don't run anymore. And that's what happened to Harry Gant.
Yeah, Gant came flying through the pack, and just as he got up there to take the lead, the thing blew up. He's headed to the garage.
He was flying up through the field up to 2nd spot and right to the front, but now he's back in the garage with Mark Garrow.
Harry Gant, you were the locomotive pulling the field up to the front. They're looking for a new choo-choo train out there right now.
Yeah, this car was really fast. I just take it easy, you know, the whole first part. And the car got crossed up down the corner early, and I backed off, and I lost a lot of position. But when I started moving back up and ran them down, you know, when I got behind Ernie, I didn't have to run full out to stay right against his bumper. And it looked like we were going to pull away from the field, but then all of a sudden the tack started coming back, and I couldn't figure. I looked at me, and I think, well, maybe Ernie just got a burst of speed there, but I almost got run over back there. The engine quit, and it was really strong, though. It was the best the car's ever run on a big track. This new motor body really done the trick.
So Harry Gant is out of the race. We are under green, but look at everybody on pit road. Earnhardt is in, Ernie Irvan, there's Mark Martin, all electing to come in at once so they can come back out and draft together and not lose that draft. 8 of the cars in the lead pack, make that 9, all came to pit lane at the same time. As you ride back out of the pits with Jeff Gordon.
Now this is the trick to get these little 6-cylinders. Here's Ward Burton coming in here taking the lead. But the trick is once you get these tires changed and everything ready to go, is to be able to get back up front and get these things up to speed. It takes about a lap and a half to get this V6 back up to full throttle.
Neil, that's the first time I think I've ever seen that. I think nearly 18 cars all pitted at once.
Well, we've talked about how critical the draft is, and boy, you don't want to lose your partner, so you keep your eyes on him. When the one guy turned in, the bulk of the field pitted for the tires.
And that did upset some of the strategy we had heard of. There was a thought that all the Fords would pit together. Well, they did, but so did everybody else. Here are the cars remaining out on the racetrack. Stanley Smith in the building materials wholesale. That's Chevrolet. Running out there along with the Jack Ingram car, Jack Sprague driving. Let's get an update on those pit stops from Glenn.
Well, Mike, we were down here polling everybody, and he's pretty much true to their word. They said they were going to come in on lap 43. The Chevrolets of Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan had gotten together and conspired to make their pit stop at the same time, so when they went back out there, they'd have a drafting partner. Also, the Fords of Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Gordon had also decided to come in on lap 43. We saw almost the whole field, so they had all gotten together and had at least one, and in most cases, 2 partners to make sure they had somebody to help them go together to pull back up to that draft. So everything went pretty smoothly down here. Most of them got gas and right side tires.
Mark Martin there riding with Mike Waltrip as they try to work their way back up into the field. Hut Strickland was the first car off pit road, so he's now posted as the second place car. Stanley Smith, but they add his name onto the leaders roster for this race, car number 45. The Alabama driver started in the last row, but had yet to make his pit stop. You see the field is strung out a bit after green flag pit stops. Difference of a second or two on pit road may not seem like a lot, but when you get back out here, it can be a long way.
That's a football field a second when you run around this racetrack, and every little bit of stumble on pit road, you pay the price when you get out here on this racing surface.
45 laps complete. First round of green flag pit stops is complete. They'll have to make at least one more stop before this one's over.
Jim Ward.
Winston Cup stock car, just some of the exhibits that you'll see there. And the International Motorsports Hall of Fame inducted a group of 10 drivers here this week at Talladega. And coming up next after our show, you'll see that presentation. Neil Bonnet, one of the presenters, helped induct Kenny Roberts as one of the 10 drivers and celebrities of motorsport that now occupy a place of honor in the Hall of Fame. That show coming up next here on TNN. We are under caution for debris in turn number 2 right after this round of green flag pit stops. And just prior to pit stops, the average speed in this race, usually the fastest lap of the race is lap 1 or 2, but that's not the way it's gone today, Neil.
The average speed of this race was up at 187.5 miles an hour. That's about 3 miles an hour faster than they even qualified. So I'm telling you, this thing with the draft is really working for these guys.
But now a green flag pit stop and this caution flag will slow the average just a bit. One of the Chevrolet track trucks goes out to turn number 2 to clean up debris. First caution of the day. Hut Strickland, first off pit road, had assumed the lead. And now the pack will come back together. Jeff Burton and Darrell Waltrip make pit stops here under caution.
Usually when we see a caution like this, we see all the guys pit. I think after that stop a while ago, and as critical as they were with track positioning, I don't know that we'll see the guys come back in. They don't want to give up that position up front because it's so hard to get back up there.
No, way too valuable track position here. Let's go to Mark Garrow.
Well, Jimmy Spencer didn't get to spend the full afternoon out there on the racetrack in this Fram 500K, but it looked like a lot of fun while you were out there.
It was, Mark. I'll tell you something. The Daly's first day, those girls really running, and we got in the top 5, got second or third, and we were really happy right there riding, filling out the draft, and something happened in the engine. We don't know what happened exactly, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And we're not into point hunter or anything like that, you know, but the Daly's first day people are really great, and we'll be back next week at Indy.
There was a lot of talk before this race, who would gang up with who and so on and so forth. When the green flag dropped, who's ever quick, everybody went with him. It looked like a wild scramble.
It really did, you know. The Busch drivers are doing an excellent job out there. I'll tell you something, got to take my hat off to them. I am one of them now, but they're doing an excellent job, and Dale Earnhardt, the master of the draft and things, he's working his way up, and Ernie, it's going to be a heck of a race. And I'm really a little upset that I'm not up there with him.
That's Jimmy Spencer. Back upstairs to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Mark. Good run for Spencer. Let's take you back through the top 10 as that field will all be formed up tight again. Strickland, Irvin, Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader, the front 5. Mark Martin and Ward Burton. First the Busch regulars. Todd Bodine right there. Steve Grissom and Joe Nemechek. So 1 through 6 Cup drivers, 7 through 10 Busch Series regulars as we get set to go back to green. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, Mike, one guy that was awfully glad to see that caution was Busch regular Jeff Gordon. Jeff, along with Bill Elliott, had drafted their way up from like the 25th, 28th starting position up to the top 10 positions. When they came in for those green flag pit stops, Jeff came in a little hot, locked the brakes up. They had to push the car back. He lost a lot of valuable time. He lost that lead draft, but now that the caution flag has bunched everybody up again, he's going to be right in the thick of things. That number 1 Ford doesn't run very fast by itself, but man, is he tough in the draft.
Right along with him here at Talladega Superspeedway as we're under the first caution of the day. 49 of 117 laps completed. Average speeds dropped to, well, 180. "50 laps completed the world's fastest speedway. Will go green next time by. 27 cars are on the lead lap. Hut Strickland up front, Ernie Irvin, Mike Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, and Kenny Schrader, the front 5. Mark Martin, Ward Burton, Todd Bodine, Steve Grissom, and Joe Nemechek, the top 10. Tracy Leslie, Jeff Purvis, Ricky Craven, Jeff Gordon, and Bobby Labonte takes you back through 15th spot. Brett Farmer's 16th. Then Chuck Bound, Tom Peck, Tommy Houston, and Stanley Smith 20th. Kenny Wallace back in 21st. It's had a tough day at Barrier. Jack Sprague, Jim Bound, Jeff Burton 25th. Darrell Waltrip and Clifford Allison are on the lead lap. Now, Bill Elliott has fallen 1 lap back. He was up with the lead pack through most of that green flag run. Richard Lassiter, David Rogers is 2 laps down. And in the garage area, Jimmy Spencer, Harry Gant, Butch Miller, Bobby Dotter, Robert Huffman, and Robert Presley. Getting set to go back to green.
Mike, the only guys I saw pit then was Kenny Wallace right there at the end, but he didn't have anything to lose. He's at the tail of the field. And they run a Pontiac all year long. They built a Chevrolet to run here on the big track to see what the difference was, and they still haven't got the car up to speed.
Wallace well back in the field, but still on the lead lap, 21 points out of first. Lost the point lead last race to Joe Nemechek. 6 lead changes thus far.
Mike, we just got word that Kenny Wallace had a left rear tire flat. That's the reason he came in on that last stop.
So the caution flag, a break for Kenny. Green flag, and here they come 4 wide down the front straightaway. Leaving Richard Lassiter up in the high lane. He's a lap down, or 2 laps down, rather.
Big wreck. They're going there. It looks like Nemechek going through the grass on the inside.
And who's that up high spinning? 2 cars. One of those might be Craven. And they'll run back to the caution flag. 2-car incident, at least 2 involved down in turn 1.
Luckily enough, Nemechek went across the grass, and the car didn't get airborne like they used to do. He got it, but they wasn't up to full speed. It didn't seem like he hit anything.
And most of the field has pedaled out of the gas pedal to come around to the flag. Ward Burton was very slow on the restart, we're told. The field pretty much streamed around him. There's Ricky Craven, was way down on the apron. One of the 2 cars involved. Joe Nemechek was the other. So the first on-track incident of the whole weekend among the Busch Grand National cars has brought out this 2nd yellow flag of the day at lap 51. There's Craven way down on the bottom. That's Steve Grissom just in front of him, and Nemechek.
There comes, that was Todd Bodine coming from the right lane over. He came across the right. Looked like he got to the right side of Nemechek and gave him a shot, and he went flying down the infield.
There goes Nemechek for quite a ride. Fortunately, not quite up to full speed. He bounces across some of that red Alabama clay. Here's another look.
They're already spinning. Nemechek's already going across through the inside grass. There's Craven coming back up onto the racetrack, spinning. Big pack of cars behind him. He's lucky none of them got into him. Nemechek almost headed him off at the pass over there. Sliding through that grass. It's picking up speed.
Came right back to the racetrack down at turn 1. Fortunate, and very fortunate, there was no further incident when Craven went spinning or when Nemechek popped back up on the racetrack, but there were no other cars involved. Let's look at David Rogers. Rogers was running 2 laps down, or rather 3 laps down at the time of the incident. And here's Nemechek. No apparent damage on the car.
Nothing, but it looks like sheet metal. It looked like it rubbed the left rear tire real hard. He'll have to change tires, but anytime you alter that body design at this place, it's going to slow you down. Craven had 4 flats that looked like Mike from where he spun, blew out all the tires, so they're changing all of them.
They do run the inner liners here at Talladega, so he wasn't coming all the way around the track on the rim. They had that safety inner liner, that tire within a tire here. Nemechek may have some right side body damage from the bump with Todd Bodine that initiated this crash.
Boy, they're lucky when you just have some type of damage that we've got to look for to find. Usually at this place, you find the damage laying on the track, the car gone.
Let's have another look.
You know, there's Craven. He slid right up the middle of the track, Mike. And there's cars diving down on the bottom. There's Kenny Wallace directly behind him. Maybe that's Purvis. Their cars are painted just alike. Up high, got cleared him. Did a good job dodging.
Here's Todd Bodine, and he has been called to pit road for a stop-and-go penalty. Word from NASCAR was that he jumped the restart.
Also, I see them look like they're working on live for a quarter of Bodine's car.
There's Joe Nemechek's car. They're trying to pry out that fender panel. Mark?
That's exactly what they're trying to do, Mike, both on the left and the right side of the Texas Pete Chevrolet. They've now pried the sheet metal away from the rear tires. He came in, and you can see the car cocked on a weird angle. It got a little bit sideways, and of course, they have to be very careful about that, or he could be penalized by NASCAR. His brother John is on the front tire. They're changing that, of course, coming around on the left side to change tires there. Nemechek is just about ready to go down and away. He'll head back on a pit road. Todd Bodine, a quick stop for that Hungry Jack team as well. They were pitting just behind Nemechek.
I imagine Joe got a little sideways when he was put a little sideways down there entering turn number 1. So he goes back into the race and stays on the lead lap. Mike Waltrip is the leader under caution. The first race, Busch or Winston Cup, that Mike has led since the season opener at Daytona. 53 laps complete. We're under the second caution of the day, and we'll be right back. Parts. After the second caution of the day, we're getting set to go back to green. The light is out atop the Pontiac Grand Prix GTP safety car, and it'll head for pit road with Mike Waltrip at the front of the pack. That's Richard Lassiter in the outside lane, trying to get back one of the 3 laps that he is down to the field. Hut Strickland in second, Ernie Irvin in third, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader. The order pretty much unchanged up front. Mark Martin, Tracy Leslie right in there. Steve Grissom and Jeff Purvis, the top 10. A little bit strung out on this restart. Ernie Irvin back a few car lengths as they come down to turn 1.
After that last restart, they might decide they better give each other a little bit more room because they were bunched up so early before it caused a problem.
Here's your Napa Field standing update at 50 laps, just 5 laps ago. This is how they were running. Find your favorite driver in that rundown as we watch Mike Waltrip and Hut Strickland try to take it off and away from this pack.
It's the biggest lead we've seen all day, about 4 car lengths for the leader. But they're coming, though. They're not going to stay there long out front like that.
That's Ernie Irvin up top, getting shuffled back there to the 7th spot, dropping in line as they come off turn 4. Into the tri-oval, and the black car goes to the bottom. Waltrip up front, and Strickland loses second spot to Earnhardt. Schrader, Martin coming up through on the bottom.
The guy that got the shuffle then was Hut Strickland, and he never moved.
Right.
He held his position, and 4 of them went by on the inside.
Tracy Leslie's part of that pack. Good run for Leslie today in the Detroit gasket car. He's been right in, up, and amongst the leaders. And at the tail end of that pack is Steve Grissom, who was the second fastest qualifier, had his time disallowed, and he's come all the way up into that front pack from back in 26th starting spot.
Now we can forget that 1/8 of an inch. He's ready to go racing.
You
He's
bet.
got that behind him now.
And look behind the front pack how they're double wide all the way back in that second group there.
You say double or 3 wide?
Well, at least double wide. Here's the 2 Fords, Red Farmer and Jeff Gordon, Kenny Wallace in a Chevrolet this week. The Dirt Devil car battling with him.
Look
Out
how
the
close
shield of Jeff Gordon's car. You can't even see the top of the rear spoiler of that car ahead.
That's about as close as you can draft them. Stick it up there and just start shoving them forward, trying to get on to the front. Look how they move around. The car's just dancing around all over the racetrack. And I promise you, that guy's not moving that steering wheel. He's got it in one position. The cars are jumping there that much on the racetrack.
Chuck and Jim Bound, the brothers running nose to tail. Drafting off Red Farmer. Up front, here's Earnhardt, Schrader, and Martin, the 3 black cars drafting off Mike Waltrip.
Looks like Strickland right in behind Mark Martin.
Back in 5th. Those 5 cars trying to take a little away from Ernie Irvan. Irvan did not really come up to speed that quickly on the restart. That car may have lost a little something. Tell you who else is having a great run here. Stanley Smith, who led a lap when he was one of the last cars to pit under green. Started in the last row, and now he's 9th. Hold your breath. Todd Bodine on the bottom. Ed Barrier in the middle. Richard Lassiter up top.
Did you call that one? When you get 3 abreast, you get in a problem. We saw Todd Bodine and someone get together through the trial. He slipped that time, looks like, got up into the 22 car. They were lucky they kept him straight.
Nemechek's not bashful. He's right up there trying to work the bottom with Todd Bodine and get past that group of cars. Now this battle running 6.7 seconds behind the race leader. And finally they clear the Lassiter car, but now Nemechek still has to deal with the 22 of Ed Barrier.
That was a pretty hard lick coming off that second turn, not to cause any more problem than it did. They hit real square instead of front or rear of the car, and it just bounced them apart again.
Well, I said something might have been wrong with Irvin's car, but here he comes right back. He's up to 6th spot. And right into the lead pack. There's Irvin on the right side of your screen. He's got Grissom with him, and he's going to drop in line and leave Steve Grissom out in the wind.
It's probably going to take something like the 72 car and Grissom to work together, because I'm not sure they're going to get a lot of help from those other guys. If Leslie and Grissom got together, they might be able to work with them. Just as I say that, they go Ernie Irvan right to the inside. Let's see if Leslie goes with him.
Nope, stays up top this time. Tracy in the 72 car, that red machine, lines right up with Hut Strickland. This camera hung off the start-finish stage. Like we said at the top of the show, you haven't seen speed until you've been to Talladega. Average speed down to 160, but they're lapping this track at 185 to 187 miles per hour. And Ernie Irvan is going to get the wave on back. Looks like Leslie made the right move staying up in the pack. Jeff Purvis.
He thought about taking a look to the inside, but when they're in single file like that, it's hard to do it on your own.
That's Hut Strickland going up high, and look at 2 cars to go up with him. Mark Martin and Kenny Schrader going up high. Irvan back down low.
It's critical this draft is, I believe, if they turn down pit road, they'd all come again. Anywhere one goes high or low, they're pretty well going to follow.
Well, you're the guy that started all this, Neil, at Pocono, Pennsylvania, in the Wood Brothers car, leading a race, coming off that turn 3, dropping right to the bottom and snaking the whole field down the straightaway, trying to shake the draft.
Well, I found out if I came off the corner, ran a straight line, they'd draft back by me.
Right.
And as long as I moved around and made them follow, had to pursue and turn around a little bit, well, they couldn't get by. So we're seeing a good bit of that now.
Now Irvan lined up on Mark Martin, and you're riding with Jeff Gordon.
Going down back straightaway.
Pointing to the right.
I tell you what, there's a lot more hand signals going there, not only when you get mad, but when you want to work with somebody. You motion for, here's Mark Martin's motioning. He's coming over. See him throw his hand up. Now see him say, come on, let's go. He's motioning for the guy behind him to really get in there behind him and push, and let's not lose that lead draft. So he's trying to get the guy behind him to help.
The guy behind him is Ernie Irvan.
Here they are pulling his mark. They got that help he needed. He's right back on that lead pack. He attempted that pass and he lost some ground. He had to have help to get back.
But Ernie wouldn't go with him. Ernie's going down to the bottom by himself. He won't work with Mark Martin.
And when you say by himself, look, he's all the way down about 5 car lengths, 5 lanes over right on the apron and going by him like they're sitting still in some of the cars.
Now he's down there right alongside Martin, so no help for the Chevrolet. Turn 4. 62 of 117 laps, and now Irvan moves up in front of Mark Martin. There's Bobby Labonte. First time we've seen Bobby today. Started way out back with a car that he said just needed to draft off clouds or anything he could find, and he's drafted his way up toward the front. Labonte's in 11th spot.
Well, he better look for a cloud because he's on that inside lane by himself now.
That Slim Jim car is going to need to find a slim hole to slip into and get back up in line. Waltrip, Earnhardt, Schrader, Strickland, 4 Winston Cup drivers. And then Stanley Smith and Tracy Leslie.
See Schrader throwing his hand up there? You'll gain on him. Schrader was back about 2 car lengths, and you'll make a big run. You kind of throw your hand up and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm gaining on this guy in front of me. You actually can't see Hutton Strickland, can't see Earnhardt when he's behind Schrader. He's relying on Schrader to tell him what's going on in front of him. And you're so close up under him, you can't see the car that's one in front of him. So you rely on that other driver to give you those signals. Sometimes he tells the truth.
Yeah, you hope. Mike Waltrip tows them around. The ribbon of race cars off into turn number 1. 17 cars long. As that snake uncoils out of 2 and heads down the back straightaway once again. 64 laps complete. 17 cars in that front draft here at Talladega. 24 cars on the lead lap. We'll be right back. The Fram Filters 500 at Talladega rolls on. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet. Glenn Jarrett, Mark Garrow down on pit road today. And that lead draft, 17 cars strong, includes 4 drivers who have never won a Busch Grand National race. Hut Strickland, Tracy Leslie, Stanley Smith, and Jeff Purvis. Any one of them could have a shot at it today. Mike Waltrip up at the front of the field. There's a look at Stanley Smith, that black 45 car. It says BMW on the side, not the German automaker. A local building materials wholesale.
Look, there's Ernie. He keeps trying that inside lane. There, Tory, look over. He said the orange car. You know, he won Daytona, and he said the firecracker race there, and he said the reason he won it was because he could run in the bottom all day long. Well, he's trying the same method here. He's in the bottom all day long.
He's battled positions back and forth with Mark Martin and with Jeff Purvis. But he gained a lot of ground on the field. There he is side by side with the 51 of Purvis. Just sit back up front there with Mike Waltrip. Waltrip has 4 Busch Grand National career victories. 1988 at Dover, driving his brother Darrell's car. 1989, he won at Raceway Park in Indianapolis, where this tour heads next. He won at Richmond 2 years ago and at Dover. Well, now Mark Martin couldn't get Ernie Irvin to draft along with him when he weighed forward, so he's going to try to go with Ernie here. They dropped to the bottom in the back straightaway, but could not advance.
They'll just have to wait till the right time to get a little bit of momentum built up. It might take 1 or 2 or maybe 5 laps to get the kind of run you want.
And there's Jeff Gordon right in the midst of that. He's right behind Mark Martin.
Mike, look at the windshield on the right side of his car. It's cracked, and I doubt seriously it was hit with anything. There's so much wind force, a lot of times they'll just crack while you're running. We see that windshield flexing there, but most of these cars have a Lexan layer behind that to protect the driver, so I don't think it'll get any worse.
The difficulty would be cosmetic. Boy, there's Mark Martin's car just slewed around a bit there as they came through the trioval. 70 laps complete. Still 24 cars on the lead lap. The last car on that lead lap is Darrell Waltrip. Having a bit of a tough day today.
Yeah, he's just off the pace because earlier he was just fixing to get lapped when we had that caution.
This is the Busch Series' first appearance at Talladega. Its predecessor, the NASCAR Late Model Sportsman Series, had 4 races here. Tiny Lund won here in 1969. Ray Hendrick driving a Dick Armstrong car, a Monte Carlo in 77. Darrell finished 3rd that day. Joe Milliken won here in 78. Neil Bonnet finished 4th. And in 1979, John Anderson, the Midwest driver, won the race. Harry Gant sat on the pole that day. It was a combined Late Model Sportsman and Grand American event. But for the Busch Series, first time here since the series began some 10 years ago.
There's Mark Martin right behind Jeff Purvis, keeping that hole closed up.
And we're 7 miles an hour faster than history's fastest Busch race. Jeff Bodine's Goody's 300 win at Daytona in '85.
Looks like we just keep adding cars to the lead pack now. Yeah. Bigger and bigger pack of cars.
Now, a couple of those cars are a lap down or 2. In amongst the 17 that make up the lead pack there.
Mike Waltrip is running a little bit lower line. He's leading the race. He runs a little bit lower line through the corners. The entire field moves up, but they can't do anything with him. This car is real strong.
Well, we said that those tall rear spoilers would make the cars a bit more draftable. And they have done that, but have they done too good a job, Neil? Because now nobody wants to get out of line and pass.
Well, they'll get to feeling brave in a little bit when it gets down time to try to win the race or make the right kind of move. But, Mike, what a lot of people don't realize, and you and I were talking about it, when the spoiler stands up higher, it nails the back of that car down. But when you lay it down, it lets the air travel over the deck lid and lay back on the ground just a few feet behind the rear bumper. So when it's standing up like that, it's just a big vacuum from all to run in. And I'm telling you, the things that look like it, we said it might look like an IROC race, and that's exactly what it looks like.
Neil, I stand corrected. These 17 cars in this lead pack are all on the lead lap.
Just that little bit of shuffling we've seen off and on has enabled the entire lead group to get back together again.
Mark Martin look outside of Jeff Purvis there. Jeff Gordon right with him.
They got the two Fords. That's the first time they've had them. They've got the two Fords hooked together now. And both of those cars are worked out of the same area, so maybe they'll get together and work with each other.
The other Ford in that lead pack is Red Farmer, and he is 16th of those 17 cars. That lead pack, Mike Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader, you see, then Hut Strickland, Stanley Smith in 5th. 6th is Tracy Leslie, 7th, Jeff Purvis, 8th, Mark Martin, 9th, Jeff Gordon, 10th is Jeff Burton, 11th, Kenny Wallace, 12th is Jim Bound. Good run for Jim today. Ernie Irvin is in the lead pack. So is Bobby Labonte, Chuck Bound, Red Farmer, and Steve Grissom. Those are the 17 cars contending for the win here. And we'll look at one more pit stop before this one winds up. 73 laps complete, 74 going on the board this time here at Talladega. Mike Waltrip in the lead. We'll be right back. This race about 2/3 over. Let's run you back through this field. Here's Mike Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader, and Neil. They've kept close company for about these last, ever since pit stops.
Once they got out there and got in position, they've been content with it. I don't know if they like it that way or they just can't pass each other.
Those three cars have been right toward the front. Yellow, two black ones, and then comes Hut Strickland in 92. Go back past Strickland. There's Tracy Leslie. And here, right in mid-pack, Purvis, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon. There's Ernie Irvin right on the bottom again.
Yeah, we thought he was having a problem while ago. He fell way back, but he's still leading his lanes, the best I can tell.
David Rogers is a couple of laps down. He's trying to hang with that pack. Or excuse me, that's Chuck Bound in 98. Jim Bound in 98. I'll get it. And Jim is on the lead lap. That's Chuck Bound right alongside him. Then Kenny Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Red Farmer, and Steve Grissom is right there as well in the tail end of that pack. 17 cars strong. Let's check down in Ernie Irvin's pit. Here's Glenn.
Well, just checking with the guys down here, Mike. Ernie does not have a problem. He just can't get back in line where he wants to. That's the only thing. This draft is so tight. He pulled down, couldn't get back up there, so he had to be content to ride where he is. They say that he is scheduled to come in for gas in about 15 laps. So right now they're having some radio problems communicating with Ernie. So they're discussing how to get him out of the pits once they get the gas in the car. But other than that minor radio problem, there is no problem on the car.
Okay, we had also thought Steve Grissom might be having trouble dropping from the lead drafter. We'll double check on that in a bit as well. All right, there's Irvin and Chuck Bound. There, that's Jim Bound in 98. Younger brother of the 1990 Busch champ, and Bobby Labonte right with him.
A car dropping the inside. It looked like Mark Martin. I couldn't tell. I just saw a black car come down. It might be a lap car. It did have one drop to the inside.
Somebody at turn 4 came right out of the lead draft. Pack coming back to line once more. It was Mark Martin.
Look what that did also. Remember, Mark Martin was right in front of Jeff Gordon, and when he fell off with the problem he had, Jeff Gordon almost lost the draft.
Mark Martin will be on pit road. Back up front with leader Mike Waltrip and with Dale Earnhardt. Just a ways back from that lead pack, drafting along. We'll keep tabs to see if Todd Bodine and Joe Nemechek can catch the lead pack. They've been drafting together for these last 15 or so laps.
Mike, as we're talking, Mark Martin's going into the garage area. Whatever the problem was, it must have been a motor or something. He's out of it.
Yeah, this is the in-car ride you don't want to take. Back to the garage before it's all over. There's a look at Mark.
Yep, that's
Parks it and shut it off. Tough break. They'll get another chance Sunday in the Die Hard 500.
That car of his, at all the Busch races we go to, he's always right in the hunt. And he's had a little bit of motor trouble, but when that thing's together, he's flying.
Well, the lead pack has now been split in two. It's now 12 cars on the front pack. 12, then 4, then 2. And those two, Todd Bodine and Joe Nemechek, are about to run down the 4 in front of them. But Jim Bound, their 98, is now the last car in the lead draft, which stretches 12 cars back. There's a look at it.
There are 3 abreast right there. There was Purvis up on the wall, the black car inside, and then Irvin on the bottom, but they got it straightened back out.
Stanley Smith, he and Purvis running at it side by side. Who's going to draft off Jeff Gordon? Give Jeff Burton the nod there in number 8. And then down in the Ernie Irvin lane, Irvin and the Bound brothers.
That's the best thing. Call them the Bound brothers. They keep switching it around. I can't tell which is which.
And Irvin goes up to the high side.
Strange place for him, but he's going to get up there and give it a run.
That's kind of funny not to see that Bill Davis car that Jeff Gordon's in at the front of the field.
Well,
been there so much this year.
The only place we've seen them have a bit of problem is restrictor plate racing. At Daytona, they struggle getting their car in the field and all, but when they go other than these big tracks, they're hard to beat.
At the back of the 12-car pack, Stanley Smith and Jim Bound back there. Then the 4-car pack, led by Bobby Labonte. And then that 2-car pack. Glenn?
Michael standing with Mark Martin. He's crawled from his car. He was crawling, looking up under it. Mark, what happened?
Well, we overheated it and burned it up. It's too bad. We got ductwork damage here from something or other. Come up from the track or something. Winn-Dixie Thunderbird was great. We were up to 3rd and 4th and stuff like that. It started getting hot. We were just trying to cool the thing down and have something to race with there at the end, but we burned it up.
It's kind of cool things, kind of hard to cool things down here today as hot as it is. Better luck next time, Mark.
Mike, just a little bit earlier, whenever they were running that, I thought I saw something flopping under the air dam on the 60 car, and it was probably some of that sheet metal ductwork that it's really tight fitting, and it funnels it directly into that radiator. And when that thing gets a little loose like that, it starts burning the motors down.
Neil, here's this 2nd pack. Now there's Steve Grissom on the right. He's running with Brett Farmer in the 28 Davey Allison car. He's running with Kenny Wallace, Bobby Labonte in 44. And you see that Todd Bodine in 34 and the 87 of Joe Nemechek have caught that pack. So they're running single file. They have run down the 2nd group of cars here. And now instead of 4, that's 6 cars. And they're battling for 13th position.
And that little group of race cars right there is the bulk of their point standings.
Yes.
So they've got to get on back up to the front.
We'll see how it goes when we come back to the world's fastest speedway here at Talladega, Alabama. 83 laps are complete. Mike Waltrip up front. 85 laps complete. 5 cars trying to break away from the field. There's Mike Waltrip with Earnhardt, Schrader, Strickland, and 1 Busch Grand National regular, Tracy Leslie, is locked right onto them. He's the 11th place point man, right side of your screen, the number 72. The rest of the Busch point battle is well back in the 2nd pack. Now there's Irvin with Jeff Gordon, who is 6th in points. Jeff Burton, the number 8 car, is 12th in points. Caution is coming on the speedway. A tough break for Jeff Purvis, who just made a stop on pit road. So Purvis gets back out ahead of the race leader. He will have his pit stop complete and will not drop a lap. But caution is out here for the 3rd time today. And pit stops were imminent. Let's have a look here. Bit of ductwork off Mike Waltrip's car, or maybe something he ran over.
Big piece of sheet metal. It was hard to tell, but it hit right in the nose of Earnhardt's car.
Looked like a brake duct hose, perhaps. There's Jeff Purvis moving around the safety car. Big break for him. He made his pit stop and got away without losing a lap. He was the 6th place car when he pitted. Let's see if we can see this.
It's going to fly right from under Mike Waltrip's car. Let's see if it's in front of the car and then he runs over it, or if it comes off of his car. Looks like clear track in front of him. Now, I don't know. It looked like there might have been a little bit of debris. He picked a piece of sheet metal, and there it hits Earnhardt's car and goes way up in the air. It was hard to tell if he picked it up or it fell off his car.
Might have been a piece of brake ducting or cool air ducting for the driver. Who knows?
You know, everybody says, well, what's a little piece of sheet metal matter? But I've had these race cars, you can throw one of these little aluminum cans out of the grandstand. They've actually went through the windshields of these cars and hit a roll bar and cut in half and go into the trunk area of the car. At 200 miles an hour, you can't have anything on the racetrack.
No, that's right. You know, a beer can comes over the fence and it's only going about 10 miles an hour. But when that car hits it going 200, it's a different story. So pit road will be the center of action here. 23 cars on the lead lap now, with Mark Martin going to the garage.
Mike Waltrip has just brought the Pennzoil Pontiac in. They are checking the front of the car to make sure that there was no ductwork or anything else that came out from underneath. They're working on the right side and filling up with gas. They will not come around. They'll just change the outside right tires. He's already away. Let's go further down pit road to Glenn Jarrett.
Mark, I'm standing between Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan. Once again, they came in together. These guys, the Chevrolets, are changing left side tires, getting that last splash of fuel. Both of them were in and out in about 13 and a half seconds, so pretty good stops even under caution. Caution went down and away.
A little bit of bumping around on pit road, and Kenny Wallace's car is not getting going. It was very slow coming out of the pits.
I thought I saw him get hit. I thought he hit another car as they came out of the pits.
He did. He bumped into the back of somebody trying to get into a pit stall.
I don't know if sometimes a lick like that, you'll hit the ignition, hit the distributor and mess up something, but they sure can't get it up to speed.
Well, they've had a couple of tough weeks in a row. Tore the car up in New Hampshire, then came in here, did not qualify well at all. Kenny started 29th. Now is running tail end of the field. Big news out of that camp is that they have hired Jeff Hammond Monday after being in victory lane Sunday with Darrell Waltrip at the Winston Cup race at Pocono. Monday, Jeff Hammond was hired by Felix Sabates to run Kenny Wallace's Winston Cup team for 1993. So left the Waltrip operation. The reason being to get a fresh start on getting cars ready for next year so they can test as early as September. Now this is Jeff Gordon, and he's looking, waving at the left side, pulling up alongside Ernie Irvan as if, take a look at the left side.
I couldn't really tell what that signal was. He was certainly motioning to him, and in the mirror you could see a little bit, but I couldn't really tell what it was about. He was trying to get some point across to him.
We'll update that in a moment. Right now, let's go to Glenn in the Kenny Wallace pit.
Well, they're not too happy down here right now. When they came into pit, they're pitted right beside of Jeff Gordon. Jeff came in, had him blocked in a little bit. Kenny had to work the car a little bit, try to get it out. Tore the clutch out of the car as he was leaving pit road. That's why he could not get up to power. They're a little upset talking with the NASCAR officials about it, but the damage is done.
So he's going around either slipping the clutch or just trying to hold on to something here.
Boy, the clutch in one of these things is about half the size of a passenger car. They're about 6 or 7 inch diameter, and once you slip them, they don't come back. And what he's got into now, he's just having to feed the throttle, and really take it easy, but he's going to have a problem to even get the car up to speed on the restart.
Tough break for Kenny Wallace. There's Jeff Burton. He's been up in the lead pack all day, and he's presently the race leader. He and Tracy Leslie were last posted at the front of the field, so Leslie got to lead a lap, and Jeff Burton becomes the 9th different leader of this race at Talladega. We'll be right back. 92 U.S. Olympic team. Troubles continue for Kenny Wallace. They had put the car in 4th gear. They had sprayed the clutch to try to cool it down, try to get him some traction, but then in 4th gear with such a tall rear end, the car just couldn't pull coming out of the pits. Glenn? Glenn Jarrett?
Well, now, Mike, they're pushing the car behind the wall. They're going to have to bring it back here to try to repair it. And as you said, they put it in 4th gear, but the gear's just too tall. It wouldn't pull. That slipped the clutch even more, so it got it hot. Now it won't pull at all. They're going to have to make some major repairs now.
Here's a look at it. Coming out of the pits, he does get into the back of Tom Peck, who's picked up the Fram Filters sponsorship for this race. And we'll go green this time. Jeff Burton had a great pit stop. Let me correct, Tracy Leslie did not lead the race. He is in the lead draft here, taking the restart in 14th position. Jeff Burton comes across to lead this lap, but will immediately surrender the lead to Hut Strickland. And Strickland's trying to drive away. Now there's Mike Waltrip, excuse me. Strickland is 3rd. He had got past Dale Earnhardt on the restart and Kenny Schrader.
It was a crazy restart. The 2 lead guys were out 100 yards in front of the 3rd place guy. I don't know what happened if they didn't realize they were going green that lap, but they sure were spread out.
You had me. I had the yellow car passing the black car, but it was Strickland around Earnhardt instead of Mike Waltrip there around Jeff Burton. So Mike Waltrip goes right back up front. Michael could become the 15th different winner this season. But look at that snarling pack behind him. There have been 14 different winners in 18 races this year. Schrader there. It looked like he traded just a little bit of paint as they came through the tri-oval.
There they are, 3 abreast getting down in that corner. Chuck Bound on the bottom.
That's
Stanley Smith, and Jeff Gordon up high. They're 3 abreast all the way through the corner.
And Tracy Leslie just ahead, battling Schrader. Leslie's had a great race today. He's been up in that lead pack all day long. He'd work and draft with anybody. And here comes Gordon in the 4. Tucked right up and under. Is that Stanley Smith or is that Schrader?
I think that's Schrader he's up behind right there. You get him so close like that, it's hard to tell. All we can see is a piece of sheet metal for a spoiler back there.
They were way up high. Now Leslie just made a move from the bottom of the racetrack all the way around to the top, exiting turn 4 in that red number 72 car, the Detroit Gaskets car, just ahead of Jeff Gordon. 3 wide through the tri-oval. Drop it down to 2.
Yeah, they can do that 3 abreast stuff for just a few laps, but when they get these cars to full speed, they better get them lined up 2 abreast at the minimum. I mean, excuse me, maximum. They better get single file or they're going to get strung out again.
There's Red Farmer up into 11th spot, battling Chuck Bound. Let's go back behind pit wall, Glenn.
Wallace, it looks like the racing gods just keep finding ways to put you out of a race. What happened?
Yeah, 3rd week in a row. Well, you know, a lot of learning to do there. There was just no way anybody could race. You know, he kept seeing Ernie try to go on the inside. I had to learn a little bit. You just had to stay up high, and you couldn't move no whatsoever. And it's always going to end up pretty good. We were coming in for a gas and go there. I took off the go, and Tom Peck got from me and hit the brakes, and I didn't have no brakes. I put it up in 3rd to take off, and it wouldn't take off. We burnt the clutch up in the dirt. That was Pontiac, so we have to go on to Indianapolis.
Well, better luck next week. Things got to turn around for you.
Thank you.
So Kenny Wallace came here 21 points out of the lead and will leave here much further behind than that. Here's Todd Bodine battling Jeff Burton. Todd 5th in the point standings coming here. Looks like he'll have one of the top spots in the Busch regulars. He is currently up there battling 5th and 6th place with Tracy Leslie and Jeff Burton now. Four Cup drivers at the front of the field. Add Schrader in there would be 5.
Every time Mike Walker, he's leading the race right now, but every time he goes to one of these Busch races, he's usually sets on the pole or really runs up front. He's got a strong Busch car.
Start finish. 94 laps complete.
Talk about a fast racetrack. That was about 30 cars that went out of that thing in just a split second. In one shot, all 30 of them was under there.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes Bodine. And he's going to take Tracy Leslie with him. Now here the Busch guys are going to gang up on the Cuppers in the outside lane.
This is when we'll see if they can pull it off or not. He's in there real tight. Leslie's as tight as he can get with Bodine. Just a matter if they can work by the leaders.
But now you notice Purvis, Gordon, Burton are not coming with them. They're staying up in the high lane. But Todd Bodine, he's going to venture forth, try to make it. Try to get a little help from Tracy Leslie.
He's either going to make it or that looks like about 17th position is open.
Now they fan out up high. And Jeff Gordon and Jim Bound. And Tracy Leslie popped up a groove.
Tracy said, I don't believe I like that lane down there.
And we're back up front. Todd Bodine got left down there all by himself in the backing up lane. Here they come. And you see down to the inside, there's Bodine. Bobby Labonte had a thought about it.
Yeah, he thought about it. He looked at the mirror and said, I can move back myself. So.
Yeah, I could move up 2 or back 2 in that 44 car. So Bobby stays up high, pulls up on Steve Grissom. The rest of the field single file as we watch Todd Bodine.
This thing turns into high-speed chess, but when you make a move, you can't back up. So it's kind of tough on what to do.
And just like a chess game, the wrong move and they take you off the board. So he's off the leaderboard and he's about to go all the way to the back. Well, that will certainly discourage anybody from stepping out of line, would it?
Yeah, he's out of the lead pack.
Another fellow we haven't seen much of all day. Although there's Red Farmer. Now Red's going to step out of line with Stanley Smith. And he's going to take Chuck Bound up with him. And old DW running right back at the back of the lead draft. He's in 19th place. Now that sounds bad, but he's only 2.9 seconds behind the leader.
We got a walt up on both poles, the front and the rear pole.
Yeah, front and back of the lead draft. Good balance gets ahead Darrell.
You're right, a while ago, Mike. You know, when you see one guy take a beating like Todd Bodine did, it'll kind of sober you up. You say, hey, I don't need to be over there. You see, if one guy gets over there and he's successful at it, then somebody else will try it. But when you see a car like Bodine's losing much ground, they're going to be a little bit more cautious right now to see what they do.
19 cars lined up there. They've split a little bit into 3 groups now, but separated only by a few car lengths. 20 laps to go here at Talladega. The first ever Busch Grand National race on the world's fastest speedway. Mike Waltrip leading Earnhardt, Irvin, Strickland, and Schrader. Back after this. We are under caution for an incident involving Stanley Smith. He came in to get tires after a spin and then pulled away from his pits. They'd taken off the left side lug nuts and he had to back up. Take a look here.
Here they are going down the corner. Red was right behind him. I don't know if Stanley's car just got loose because of being so tight. But what you're fixing to see is some great driving there. The car is completely sideways. Watch everyone clear him. He's going to go all the way around. And the car is going to make a run back up the racetrack. But this is the part you need to see. When he turns back around, the car is backing up. Looks like it's going to hit the rear, but it comes completely around. And here's what usually happens. You shoot right back across in front of a lot of traffic. The car stayed up high and he kept moving. Since this has happened, he's been in the pits and got some more tires.
Here's another look at it. Incredible that he is able to save this car. And he's now completed his pit stop and will stay on the lead lap. He was in 11th place at the time.
Looks like he's going back directly in the wall. Takes a little bit of a shot there, slaps the front end up against the wall. And the key is the thing stayed up high on the wall and then coming down on the bottom again.
So Stanley Smith, and that's a Chevrolet, not a BMW like it says on the side. He had a great run here in 11th place, his best outing in the Busch Grand National Series this year.
The biggest concern he'll have, it took a hard lick on the right front wheel when it came around. If it knocked that front end setting out on that car.
He'll remain on the lead lap in 22nd position. This last time by, Darrell Waltrip, who had been back in 19th, made a pit stop. So did Ed Berrier. Darrell taking on tires. Brett Farmer admits to being 59 years old, according to the NASCAR record book of some 20 years back, and placed his birth date nearly 60 years ago. Asked Brett about what do you say to people who might say you're too old to race?
I've always told them, I said, age is just something on paper. I think it's how you feel about yourself and how you enjoy doing things. I said, I have just as much fun winning a race. I won a race 2 weeks ago, the 4th of July weekend across the street at the Talladega dirt track, and I enjoyed that just as much as I did winning 40 years ago. So as long as you're still doing that and still, you know, keep yourself in shape and feel good about it, then I'm going to keep on racing. I may be racing for another 5 or 10 years.
Well, let's see. If he's 59, that puts him 6 years younger than Herschel McGriff. I don't know.
I think Herschel told me he used to go watch Red race.
Yeah, as a kid.
That's right.
Red may have been racing for 59 years. Maybe that's it. And behind the Busch Grand National garage at this moment sits Red's hauler and his dirt track car. And tonight he'll haul it across the street to Talladega short track to run it once more.
The key to Red Farmer, he said he might race another 5 or 10 years. If he's racing 5 or 10 years, he'll still be winning in 5 or 10. That's the only thing that keeps him going, winning races.
There are guys in this race that have grandparents younger than Red.
Yeah, I tell you, I remember, we joke about going seeing someone. When I first started going to Birmingham area, Red was winning races. I'll never forget the first time I ever won a race, racing against Red Farmer. I thought I'd conquered the world. And he's still going and I'm not.
16 laps to go and they'll get the green next time. Here's how they'll square off. Mike Waltrip in the Pontiac. Dale Earnhardt is second in the Chevrolet. Ernie Irvin, his Chevrolet, lines up in the 3rd spot. Back and forth, there's Kenny Schrader's Chevy. And in 5th, the first Busch regular, Jeff Burton, number 8. In 6th, Jeff Purvis is having a great day today here in his Chevrolet. 7th is Jeff Gordon, 6th in the point standings. 8th, great run for Jim Bound this afternoon in the 98 car. In 9th spot, Tracy Leslie has also had an excellent run today, up in the top 5 part of the day. And there's Red Farmer. He sits in the 10th spot in the Davey Allison car. 11th will be Chuck Bound. Behind him, Hut Strickland has been shuffled back out of that front 4. He's now back in 12th spot. Joe Nemechek, after that spin, stayed on the lead lap. He's now running in the 13th position. And right with him the whole race, his shadow, has been Todd Bodine. Bodine in 14th. 15th, occupied by another member of the Alabama gang. There's Clifford Allison in the 15th spot. Back in 16th, Steve Grissom, second fast qualifier, time disallowed, started in the back, has flirted with the lead pack all day. And Bobby Labonte, who would probably be happy to get out of here with a 17th place finish, the way they've struggled this weekend. 18th is Tommy Houston. 19th, and on the lead lap, there's Darrell Waltrip. 20th will be the 22 of Ed Barrier. Then Tom Peck in that number 19 car, the Fram Filters car, and 22nd will be the 45 of Stanley Smith, the car who spun to bring out this caution, amazingly, without touching the wall.
Or amazingly, without just totaling a race car, that part of the racetrack, he was very lucky.
Green flag. 16 laps to go. And again, the cars up front break away just a bit on the start. Four of them.
Mike Walker, on every restart, just pulls away like everybody else is tied to a tree. They're able to run him back down.
Right behind this pack, they're 3 wide in turn 2, and almost a bit of contact there as Jeff Gordon slides up the racetrack. Everything sorts out. Back straightaway, and that whole pack that accordioned out at the restart has now swung right back together.
People keep thinking about that inside. We just can't get enough of them to do it at one time to make it work.
3 cars with a 4-car separation back to 4. Waltrip, Earnhardt, Irvin.
We're just 15 laps away from finding out if anyone can run in that lane or not, because we're not far away from the finish, and we're going to have to see somebody test that water on the inside, see if they can get by these leaders.
Schrader in 4th, Burton in 5th, Jeff Purvis in 6th. Purvis might be the wild card here in that 51 car. Here's a fellow without a lot of super speedway experience, actually without all that much pavement experience. He's having the ride of his life here today.
I tell you, Jeff is, he ran real good in the ARCA races and all up here. He's had a lot of good luck at this racetrack, and it might pay off for him today.
He's been a protege of yours.
I was trying to help him with some stuff, but I barely could help myself. I didn't know what to tell him to do with the race car.
He's doing well today. Lined up there, that white car in 6th position. He is Jeff Purvis, Phoenix Construction Chevrolet. Jeff Gordon makes a move on Joe Nemechek there. Following Todd Bodine up a spot. That puts Nemechek, the point leader, back 2. Brett Farmer right in there with him, and Jim Bound. 13 laps to go at the world's fastest speedway, and still 21 cars contest the win. Ten laps to go at the world's fastest auto race facility, world's fastest closed course racetrack, Talladega, Alabama. Mike Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, Ken Schrader, the front 4. Jeff Burton is right with them. So is Jeff Purvis up in that lead pack. Tracy Leslie and Todd Bodine with 10 laps to go. Now they have a little distance on that next group of cars. There's Bodine at the tail end of that lead pack in 9th place. And add on to that, tack onto that, Hut Strickland is still right with them in 10th. Now this group of cars has just a little bit of breathing room on Jeff Gordon, Joe Nemechek, Red Farmer, and the Bound brothers. So it looks like 10 drivers will settle it. There's the second pack. Gordon and Nemechek, and then Red Farmer. He's back there with Jim Bound and Chuck Bound. Then Clifford Allison, Steve Grissom, and Darrell Waltrip. You see how far Jeff Gordon has to go to catch 10th place Hut Strickland. There it is from Gordon's point of view, and it looks like forever from there, Neil.
Yeah, that's a terrible feeling. You see him out there, and you're almost talking to the car. Come on, let's roll, and just get just a little bit more up there and get you contention. But here's Nemechek on the inside under him. It's either going to cost him, or maybe Nemechek can pull both of them up to the lead pack again.
It might help him just a bit. But now Red Farmer comes alongside Jeff Gordon. This is for 12th position. And Jim Bound is going to go into the Ford as well.
They're not going to catch him with shuffling this much position around unless they really get together after this.
So Jeff Gordon can just watch the group go by. 4 of them run him down and ran past him, trying to catch this pack of 9 cars for the lead.
This group here looks like they're going to be content to wait to that last lap and have a regular old Talladega shootout. but one of the keys you mentioned earlier, Mike, was the start-finish line. Normally on a big track like this, you'd pass down the back straightaway, but the start-finish line being where it's at, they can actually change the lead coming down the front straightaway before they get back.
Right, instead of the middle of the tri-oval, the start-finish line is just past the end of pit road. That was done intentionally when they designed this racetrack. It was Big Bill Francis feeling that, yeah, the best seats are at start-finish and along the pit lane. Well, let's put in a second group of best seats down where the start-finish line will be, past the pit road.
This ain't a bad seat right here. I tell you, we're getting to see quite a show from up here.
8 to go.
There's Todd Bodine stepping out line, and he's got Bud Strickland with him, going to try it.
He hasn't been afraid to try the bottom and try to move that car up and along. Ernie Irvin now goes to the bottom, and let's check with Mark Arrow.
Well, Mike, they're starting to try to make some deals here on pit road. Everyone figures with Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvin riding behind Mike Waltrip, they have teamed up to try to go for the kill on the closing lap. Now with Jeff Burton sitting back there in fifth, he needs some help. So Gil Martin, his crew chief, is now in hot conversation with Tim Cahoot, the crew chief on Ken Schrader's car. They're begging Schrader to do something, get out of line, and they'll follow up to the front.
They can't get out of line, Mark. Ernie Irvin's in the bottom lane. He's got some help, and those black cars are all going to be nailed up high for the moment. Folks, we're going to go away for just 60 seconds and come back and bring you what is bound to be the thrilling finish of the Fram Filters 500 at Talladega. Earnhardt sweeps right in front of Michael Waltrip. Couldn't have been an inch between them as he went back to the high side. How will this one sort out? Make your picks, and we'll be back with a finish in a blink of an eye after this. We're back at Talladega, and we are under caution. Something had to give in that pack of cars, and with 5 laps to go, it did. It happened in the back straightaway. There you see Red Farmer sliding up against the wall. Sparks flying from beneath that car, Neil, as Jeff Gordon went by.
There was contact way on back down the racetrack. Here's right behind the scorecard here. Here we go. We see Farmer out against the wall. He gets up against the fence. Something happened, and he got over in the outside wall. And he's got the right side tires flat, and he just rides it all the way down the back straightaway. Looked like he got turned sideways about halfway down the back straightaway.
There you see the damage, and Red climbing out of the car. Okay. The same cannot be said for Davey Allison's Thunderbird.
Glad to see Red out of that thing in good shape.
Yeah, he's got a race tonight.
Yeah, he's got to run that dirt race tonight. There's no such thing as a bigger race for him. That one tonight means a lot, too.
Got his victory lane cap with him. And he'll take the mandatory ride back to the care center to be checked out. It looked, as we were watching during commercials, as if he may have gotten turned just a bit. Here's the race to the checker. Now, this all happened ahead of the incident back at 11th place.
Race back to the caution flag.
Yes, caution.
They were coming back to the caution, and Earnhardt beat them back. It looked like Irvin second, maybe Waltrip third. It's hard to tell.
Back straightaway. There's Red's car way to the right side of the screen.
Whatever the white car looked like, the white car might have tapped him in the rear and turned him to the outside wall.
You know, that was what we saw at first. But then, Neil, when we saw it from the other angle, it didn't look like Jim Bound got into the back of him. It just maybe a tire went down, maybe something happened on Red's car, and he got over there against the wall.
It was hard to tell. You could see, look, maybe Red lifted or something, but it looked like he had a little contact, turned in the outside wall, and ripped the right front off the car.
There are 4 laps to go. Earnhardt is the leader. Ernie Irvin is in second, Mike Waltrip in third, and the light is out atop the safety car. We are going green this time.
Let me tell you something we better watch for. On every one of these restarts, Mike Waltrip, I don't know if it's the gearbox he has in the car, whatever, is literally just drove away from him on every restart. If he's ever used it, this is the time he's going to have to use that transmission and see if he can get away.
The big beneficiary of the run to the caution was Todd Bodine. He's now the 4th place car, or rather 5th place car behind Kenny Schrader. Then it's Hut Strickland, Jeff Purvis, Joe Nemechek, and Jim Bound. There's Schrader and Todd Bodine, who had moved up well. Remember, all of these cars were running ahead of the incident, so there was nothing to race through. It was just a run back to the flag or the caution.
Under the same circumstances, Waltrip started third, and he was able to pass the 2 leaders on the inside by shifting gears. They came up through the gears, and I don't know if he can pull it off now with these other guys in front of him.
Now they're posting it in line as we had it with Bodine ahead of Schrader. He did come back to the line in 5th, or rather in 4th place.
The pace car in.
And it'll be 3 laps to go.
And we were wondering about some 2 abreast racing. You're fixing to see some racing right now.
How about 4 or 5 abreast? No lapped cars coming up here side by side with the leaders. They don't want any of this. 3 laps to go. Green flag is waving, and here they come. There in the back of the pack, Steve Grissom and Darrell Waltrip had a couple of moves. And they're going to leave Todd Bodine behind.
Yeah, they got a good jump on the start. They're pulling away up there.
He's going to need some help to run down the leaders, and he's got, I think that's Jeff Burton, or rather Kenny Schrader right behind him. Jeff Burton had made a pit stop as they came to caution and fell to the tail end of the lead lap.
Boy, the front three made a break right now. And, well, I say that just as I say that we'll see come right in the camera up here. The pack pull right back up on them. 5 of them together is faster than 3 of them. They're closing it in.
It'll be 2 laps to go into the trial. Now Daytona start finish would be right there where Earnhardt is. But here at Talladega, they have to come all the way around the tri-oval, past the entrance of pit road, and then to the start-finish line. That extra 1,200 feet has meant the decision of many a race.
Todd Bodine's got a piece of aluminum flopping around his back bumper. I don't think it's going to be a factor, though.
And now, instead of 3 cars, we've got 9 up there for the win.
And with some more coming. The rest of the pack is closing in on those guys.
There's a look at that lead draft. Led by Earnhardt.
The question is, when do they make their move? Do you make it going in the first turn, or do you make it in 4, or do you make it right now? Ernie took a look at it.
Ernie Irvan, the last one at Watkins Glen. Dale Earnhardt with 14 wins, the all-time Superspeedway winner in the Busch Grand National Series.
Whenever one guy makes that move, white flag, when one guy makes a move, you're going to see all of them make it.
Will it be in turn 1 and turn 3 or the tri-oval? Here they go to 1, and here goes Irvan to the bottom. Waltrip went up high and now drops down with Irvan, and he may have touched Earnhardt.
But here comes Waltrip on the inside, but he's by himself down there.
Here comes Hut Strickland with him. Strickland on the bottom. Irvan and Earnhardt may have touched.
Here comes Kenny Schrader looking 3D.
Can't do it there. Entrance to turn 3. Waltrip, Strickland, Schrader on the bottom. And Irvan running for home out front.
He got just enough lead, it might hurt him. You get that far out, the pack closes on you in a hurry.
Well, here they come. Out of turn 4, they'll have one more shot at the tri-oval at Ernie Irvan. Earnhardt comes down. Waltrip goes right down to the track apron and heading for home. Give it to Irvan. They are 3 wide for 3rd. Irvan, Mike Waltrip. Neil, I've got the red car 3rd on the outside. And after that, it's a pick'em. That would have been Todd Bodine unofficially for 3rd. Earnhardt in the middle for 4th. And Hut Strickland down on the bottom for 5th place.
It's going to take a little bit of camera work to figure this one out.
Irvan's going to get the money. But the big winner in this may be Todd Bodine. That 3rd place finish may move him well up from 5th in the Busch Grand National point standings. Want another look at it? Stay with us. We'll show it to you again after this. Filters. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later. Well, Neil, does the phrase typical Talladega finish come to mind?
I tell you, if anybody ever earned it, he did. He's been in the bottom digging all day long, and he won the race.
Ernie Irvan ended up not only first in his lane, but first in victory lane. Let's have another look at it.
Here they are coming to start finish line. There's Irvan out front. Look at Waltrip right on the bottom with Hut Strickland pushing, Earnhardt in the middle of the lane, and there comes Todd Bodine by. It looked like you say, Todd Bodine was 3rd in the deal. That's
3 wide there.
That's about as wide as the racetrack is.
Now let's have another look there up in turn 2 and see if Irvan and Earnhardt actually touched.
Yeah, they got together. Ernie felt like when he cleared him, he needed to get up there and get in single file, and they touched right there. And that little bit of wobble really let Mike Waltrip make a run at him here. Both of those guys had a little bit of a hesitation, and Waltrip's come flying in now.
Well, the man who goes to victory lane is Ernie Irvan. Picks up another Busch Grand National Series win. Glenn is with him.
Well, Ernie Irvan has crawled from the Kodak Chevrolet. Looks like he's been for an afternoon boat ride, real calm, cool, and collected. That looked like a lot of fun.
Well, it just about the time you think it's going to get edgy, it got to be fun again. You know, man, I got way back, then way back forward again, and the car was strong today, and that's what enabled us to draft by a lot of guys. But you know, it helped a lot with Michael, you know, being able to help me at the end, and you know, me and Dale kind of pinched each other in that first turn, but I made it out of it.
Well, did you think at any time that you were going to wait anywhere past going into turn 1? A lot of people wait, go down the back stretch, but when you cross start finish line, you made the dive for the inside.
Anybody else but Dale Earnhardt, you try to pass him anywhere you can. And I kind of checked up a little down the back straightaway and got a good shot on him down the front, and was able to just get into the first turn before he got there. And I was fortunate enough to make it through.
What about right at the finish? Did you know you pretty much had it then?
No, not really, because Dale ran into me pretty good down the back straightaway, knocking me forward, and that gave me a good shot, but I knew Michael was real tough on the bottom. And you never knew it until the race was over. I want to thank everybody with Kodak, Delco, Remy, Chevrolet, and all the guys on my Busch team and all the guys at Morgan McClure Racing.
Okay, congratulations again to Ernie Irvan. Mike?
Ernie Irvan, you might tell him, Glenn, he has just won the fastest Busch Grand National race ever. Here's the man who came up just a car length short. Mark?
I'm down here with Mike Waltrip, and Mike, when they came out of turn 2 in the final lap, you got that good run when the leader scrambled just a bit. A little thought in your mind, maybe they just might get to racing, and I got this thing.
Well, you saw my move. That's what I'd hoped. You know, I thought I'd beat Ernie back to the line, which would have put me second, which is where you needed to be today. I know every other restrictor plate race that's ever been run has been won from the lead, but that wasn't going to happen today. You know, you'd get them big leads, and that chain would just come sucking right back up to you. So.
Neil Bonnet talked about the fact you almost had too big of a lead, that train really built up some speed to run you down.
That's what my pit crew said, and I said, well, I lollygagged on the start. You know, I just kind of eased off, but that was Earnhardt's plan, you know, to lay back and make a run on me. Can't blame him for that. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Pennzoil. They've done a real good job for me. I hate the trouble we've had for them, and just let them know that we're going to get them, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. It's not over, I promise you.
Mike Waltrip is looking for his 5th Busch win, his last win at Dover in 1990. Mike?
Good run for Mike Waltrip today. We'll be right back. Talk to more of the folks involved in this great finish here at Talladega after these messages. Well, welcome back to Talladega. Ernie Irvan continues to get the accolades in victory lane. Let's visit with a couple other fellows who had a great day here at Talladega. Here's Mark.
One fellow that had a great day, and the whole team had a great day, the Stanley Tool Chevrolet for Hut Strickland. Tony Lambert, the crew chief, congratulations on being awarded the Miller Genuine Draft Pit Crew of the Race Award.
Thank you. It's come a long way. We just started, this is the second race as a crew chief, and I'm really enjoying it, and I want to thank the whole crew. I mean, if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't be possible.
Congratulations again, Tony. We're going to get a word now with Todd Bodine, and Todd came home in this race in the 5th position in that Hungry Jack Chevrolet. Todd, throughout the later stage of the race, you kept working that inside, and you made it pay off.
Well, we made it pay off a couple times, Mark. It's so hard to keep the momentum up unless you got 3 guys to go with you. You get 1 guy to go with you, and you might stay with him down the straightaway. You get 2 guys, you might stay with them the straightaway in a corner, but you get 3 guys, and you can stay with them pretty much the whole lap, and you got a chance to do something. But, you know, at the end there, Jeff was on the radio coaching me, and we went to the outside and picked off a few and kept working up there, and things worked out for the best. We were right where we wanted to be on the last lap.
Were the Cup guys, did you get the sense they were working with themselves and you guys were having to work with yourself, or did you get a sense there was us against them today?
I think they were helping each other a little bit more there and helping us, but, you know, that's camaraderie. Us Busch guys were doing the same thing, so you can't take that away from them. We were trying to help each other out. You know, at the last there, I was behind Ernie Irvan, and Earnhardt pulled down to help Ernie. He didn't know I was there, and it helped us both. But, you know, that's racing, and that's what it takes to get to the front.
Since his win on TNN back at Nazareth, Todd Bodine has been one of the hottest drivers on the Busch Grand National Series circuit. A great run today. He'll move farther up in the points. He'll make a bid for the championship in the second half of the season. Let's go to the garage area and Glenn Jarrett.
Went with the Busch Grand National points leader, Joe Nemechek. Joe's awfully hot and very tired, a little bit disappointed, but all in all, not a bad day.
Yes, the Texas Pete Chevrolet just run super. Dennis Boyd built us one heck of a motor, and I thought we were going to have a top 5 there. We could run with the fastest cars, and on that one restart, we got caught up and got hit in the left front on a restart, and we went sliding through the grass, and luckily we didn't tear anything up. Got 4 new tires and went from the back to the front, and we just need a little bit of luck. I mean, it's just little things keep happening, but as soon as we get some good luck, we're going to be in front, and we're going to win.
Well, for the first time here at Talladega, you gained a lot of valuable experience and made a real good showing, particularly after that spin.
Well, one of the most valuable things I learned today is drafting with Todd Bodine. I think my car was a little bit faster than him, and if I would have got in front, we would have went quicker. But I was listening to lap times on radio, and if I got out of line just a little bit, it'd slow up 2/10. And I just got hook bumpers, and man, we went, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I learned so much. It's valuable.
Well, he's scary, he's hot, he's tired, but he's still happy. Mark Garrow?
I'm standing by now with Hut Strickland. And Hut, you know, they talk about the drafting here being a high-speed game of chess. There didn't look like there were any rules out there today. It couldn't have been high-speed chess.
Well, I tell you what, it was just a deal, you know, you had to exercise patience all day long and, you know, just wait until the right time to make a move. And, you know, I done that some of the day, and one time I messed up and cost me a lot of positions, and, you know, just tried to work the car to death, try to get it back up through there. And, you know, we was lucky to wind up with a 5th. You know, the Stanley Tools car and the whole team today, Tony and Chuck, and all the guys on the team really done a good job for me. And, you know, I really am pleased for them today.
That's Hut Strickland. Good run here at Talladega.
Good run for Hut. The point standings will shake up just a bit. Joe Nemechek will still lead, but only by 24 points out of Bobby Labonte, and Ty Bodine closes within 86 of the leader. Storm. Well, Neil, we saw the race that we all hoped would happen. Wild 18-car draft racing and then an 8-car shootout for the lead as we look down the rundown.
We're talking about a typical Talladega finish. We had it, but no one was sure with the Busch cars, and it lived up to just what we thought, a great race.
Tracy Leslie, Jeff Purvis, great runs today. Bobby Labonte's 10th place moved him up in the point standings to 2nd. As we take you back through the field, there's a whole pack of Busch Grand National regulars, 11th through 15th. All these cars were running on the lead lap. Back through Stanley Smith there. And on down, we'll give you the rest of the rundown, show you where your favorite driver finished today. We'll be headed up to New Hampshire International Speedway August the 23rd. That's our next live telecast on TNN. Here from the Busch Grand National Series. And next, coming up next, you'll see the induction ceremonies of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame that's located right here at Talladega. For Mark Garrow and Glenn Jarrett, for Neil Bonnet, I'm Mike Joy saying so long